What exactly is going on with these drones in New Jersey? Let's try to unravel that. My name is Steven, and so the premise here is basically that rather than telling you what to think or just presenting the truth as if it were a single snapshot, I'm going to walk you through my arguments and the sources, the research that I've done, and allow you to come to your own conclusions. And we're going to cross a lot of things off the list along the way. So if you would like a one-stop shop for, okay, here's a big, confusing, or bizarre topic, I don't know what's going on, this is a good way to get informed fast in a relatively unbiased way. So I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'm just going to show you what I think and how I came to those conclusions, and you can decide for yourself. So we are going to answer 3 different questions here today. Let's put these in blue. All right, so question 1, we are going to answer, what is it? And then we'll also try to answer, I wrote this down to the right side. Rough notes. What are they doing and why? Presumably, if you're watching this video or listening to this, you at least, you know something's going on. And then finally, are they dangerous? You know, or generally, should I be concerned? So those are the 3 questions we're going to try to answer. And all right, let's get started. All right, so first, what is it? That depends on who you ask. What we can say for now is, let's start with a claim here. There are flying objects in New Jersey that look and act like drones. All right, so we're going to make our first claim here. That's about what's happening. People are reporting stuff flying over their houses. I'm not going to go into this part of it. If you don't know, I highly recommend just doing a search for New Jersey drones, then coming back here. The goal here is to explain it and to explain what it isn't. All right, so that's the claim. Now, let's take the official line. What does the government say it is? Specifically, the federal government. Okay, here we are. We got a joint DHS FBI statement. I think there have been other statements made since then by the FAA and other bodies, but you know, what do they have to say? We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or public safety threat. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to our little drawing, our assertions here. Government says no. Specifically, the DHS and FBI say it's fine. What sources do they have? No sources, no methods, no analysis shared. In fact, we are going to use this one a lot here. So we're going to copy paste quotes. Trust me, bro. So cool. All right. So Department of Homeland Security and FBI says it's fine. All right. So okay, historically we've experienced cases of mistaken identity where they're reported as drones when in fact they are manned aircraft or facilities. I don't know what that means. They support law enforcement. Well, that's beautiful. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft operating lawfully. There are no reported or confirmed drone sightings in any restricted airspace. All right, let's hold on to that. We're going to hold on to that. Again, this may seem tedious, but if you want to get to the truth, it takes time, and you have to slowly cross things off the list. And we're going to go by a process of elimination here. All right, what are the claims? What are people saying? What is their evidence? Is that evidence supported? Is what they're saying, does what they're saying make sense? What can we infer based on the patterns? It takes work to get to meaningful conclusions. If you just want somebody to tell you what to think, you are in the wrong place. All right, let's keep going here. Cool. So that's, again, from the DHS and FBI. All right. I mean, this is just them saying that. We're going to get back to that. Cool. If we go back to this statement, they take it seriously. Great, that's lovely. They've uncovered no malicious activity or intent at this stage. While there is no known malicious activity occurring, the reported sightings, however, highlight insufficiency of current authorities. Not sure who that's a jab at. They're just calling themselves impotent. But okay, that's fine. So let's go back here. What is it? So they say it's not drones. Okay, so the government says it's not drones. Before we, they think it's airplanes. All right, so let's make the claim here. What about its airplanes? Let's see if we can take a look at that. This is ridiculous. And the reasoning is that you can use flight tracking. You can use other methods of detecting airplanes. First of all, airplanes are up high. Airplanes are fast. Airplanes generally fly in a mostly straight line. It's obvious what an airplane is. And you can look at all kinds of footage in order to see that these are not an airplane. Let's see if this will load.
Let's talk more about it.
Okay. Here we go. Here is footage of New Jersey Mayor.
Now with Mayor Michael Melham. He is the mayor of Belleville, New Jersey. So he's in one of the cities where they have been dealing with this quite a bit. So, Mayor, thank you for being here. Federal officials say they can't confirm where these drones are from. But then at the same time, they say they do not pose a national security threat. Do you and your constituents believe that assurance enough?
We do not. And frankly, we're getting tired of being insulted. I just got off a briefing with the White House Intergovernmental Affairs. And again, we're being told that there's absolutely, we're seeing nothing here. We are not seeing any drones. We're seeing basically manned aircraft. I mean, they're starting to really insult myself, our constituents, and many, many mayors around the state of New Jersey who have literally had these things hovering 100 feet over their houses. I mean, we literally just got told once again that there's nothing to see here. We're getting tired of it.
Okay, so mundane sources. Okay, a coalition of mayors and now governors, senators, representatives are all claiming more or less the same thing. What the heck are you talking about? We know what a drone is. We know this isn't airplanes. We know it's not satellites. We know, so we're going to shorthand this. It's mundane. We know it's not helicopters because we can tell the difference between these things. And we do see those things. And we know what they are and what they are not. We know what a drone is. Okay, so I think we can cross that off the list. If you, so we're going to go back to this. It's drones, right? That's the current working theory. Okay, we're going to keep rolling with that. All right. There's lots of different kinds of drones. In fact, if you were to look at the Pentagon and White House briefings on this issue, they would say, now they flip-flopped, and we can really just skip through a lot of this, honestly, because this is just so easy to bat down. I don't even need to be rigorous about it. All right, so that's the current claim. Let's take a look at Michael Schellenberger's reporting.
We've received.
We'll get to that one. I think. Nope, not that one. Here we go. Let's take a look at this real quick.
Spokesperson John Kirby and Mayorkas.
So this is Michael Schellenberger, investigative reporter on Fox News, December 18th. Here's what he had to say about what the government has to say about what these are.
The head of DHS insist emphatically that there had been no drone flyovers over U.S. military bases.
And importantly, there are no reported or confirmed drone sightings in any restricted airspace. I want to go back to something I said at the top. There has been no evidence of any of this activity in or near restricted spaces.
We have not seen drones penetrate restricted airspace.
Well, that night, actually.
By the way, they're drones now. Before, if you remember in that statement 6 days before this, they were manned aircraft, and now they're drones. And as Michael Schellenberger is pointing out here, we're not going to roll the whole clip. He is just playing clips of White House press briefings, Pentagon briefings, various other people from the FBI, all saying it's not drones. Later, it is drones. No acknowledgement of the correction. But now he's catching them in a separate lie, which is they haven't been over restricted airspaces like power plants or airports or military bases. And then literally right afterward, okay. So it turns out we have, 11 reported drone sightings from the Naval Base Commander of Picatinny Arsenal, which houses nuclear weapons. We have, if we look over here, in an interview with, what is it called? I can't remember the name of it. Wow, great advertising. I can't remember the name of the war zone. The feds admit that, yes, okay, they are over bases, and we've had to close down the airspace over Wright-Patterson Air Force Base because of these drone sightings. So not only are they there, but they're closing them down. And we can also say, we know that this is not the first time this has happened. There, again, if you'll refer to the public piece, again, I'm going to share all these sources, you'll see that this isn't new. This was happening over jointly controlled Air Force bases in the United Kingdom last month, and then in September, I believe, over Langley Air Force Base for more than 7 days. The same or similar objects were seen in their airspace. And guess what they did? They didn't shoot them down. And they basically didn't talk about it until other people started talking about it. Like, hey, what are these things flying over the base that you're not doing anything about? Well, it's drones. So they admit it's drones now. And, so we've already caught them in a couple lies. That's not a good sign. So the claim is it's drones. It's hobbyist drones. What kind of drones? Can we say whether it's hobbyist drones? This is ridiculous for a couple different reasons. Hobbyist drones are required to be registered with the FAA. They are also, so they have like a serial ID number. And they have like shortwave communication, I think it's over Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, that allows connecting to these things in order to get IDs off of them. But even if for some reason that didn't work, or that's not universal, and they're not adhering to FAA standards, there are ways to take down a hobbyist drone, which is called return to sender. You can think of it kind of like a universal remote control for your TV. You can go buy a new one, and the remote control can kind of just guess the codes, or kind of like a garage door opener, or a simple one anyway. It can just sort of spam all the different signals until it figures out how to control it, assuming it's not adhering to one of the standard remote control frequencies. So you can just sort of try all the things until you find, okay, now I'm connecting to your drone and I can control it and I can send it back. If you can't do that, you can jam it. You can think of this as like shining a very bright flashlight into the eyes of the drone. It's just you're overloading the frequency so that you can't even receive signals. You could also do that. Or you could hit it with microwaves to cook the electronics. There's a lot of ways to take down drones, especially hobbyist drones. It is definitely not hobbyist drones. That does not make any sense at all, despite the fact that these same people have floated that. Okay, what about commercial drones? Same problems. They can be taken down. Also, many of these drones are reported being as large as the size of a car. Okay. Not likely. Is it commercial drones? It is not regular commercial drones, again, because they're not being taken down, and they have tried. And you can refer to Ross Coulthart's reality check series for reporting on the supposed attempts to take these things down. It's not hard, right? It's not that hard to take down a drone. We know how to do this, despite the feigned incompetence of your officials here, most of them unelected. We know how to take these drones down. This is not new to us. So it's not regular commercial drones. So that leaves two different kinds of drones. I sort of didn't talk about these being satellites. Satellites don't hover 100 feet over your house. So it's not a satellite. It could be military drones, or they could be custom or modified drones. So let's examine those. How would we know? Okay, so you could make a custom modification to a commercial drone, right? And you would turn off the ability to do the return to sender thing, right? You've got some sort of fancy encrypted signal. It's difficult to control. All right. It's definitely not hobbyist or commercial because they're not flying over military bases. Would a custom drone fly over a military base? Maybe. We're not even going to get into why yet. We'll talk about that in a minute here. But it's probably one of these two, right? It has to be, because these ones don't make any sense. So it's either a military drone, I'll make no claims as to whose, or it is a modified commercial or custom fabricated drone. This doesn't quite fit. It's custom drones because, again, some of those takedown approaches are not specific to, FAA compliance or normal interfacing. So you could have a drone which is completely onboard operated, meaning it has basic AI or very simple programming on a flight path, and then blinding it's not going to do anything realistically. But there are lots of ways of jamming these things, and the ones which completely overwhelm its sensors or just straight up cook it, those would absolutely take it down. Now, perhaps you have some heavy shielding on it. Maybe it's very fancy. I think we can rule out at this point that it's a custom drone, meaning a regular person who is putting together something simple from homemade parts. That is not in the cards, given the variety and severity of takedown methods that we have, and I guarantee you they've tried. So we can rule out that it's just a person who's put together something special, because this is a highly sophisticated actor. And we know that because the takedown approaches aren't working. We also know that they didn't work over Langley, and they did not work over the British Air Force bases. So there's a correlation there. So that leaves military, right? Or some other highly sophisticated, well-resourced actor, because this is high tech. It would take a military capacity to be able to withstand all of the takedown approaches that they have, which supposedly include kinetic interception. So I'll let you think on that one for a little while. Again, that reporting comes from Ross Coulthart. But if we just rule out some of the unverified claims, such as not being able to detect heat signatures, I mean, that's a big deal. Now you're starting to question the laws of thermodynamics. I'm not going to go into it, but the gist is like everything's got a heat signature. That's like heat vision, like thermal vision, certain kind of night vision. Okay, so it's got to be military drones, or, of course, it's question mark, question mark, question mark. We don't know. So let's pivot over here. Maybe we'll learn a little more about what it is if we investigate what they're doing, and maybe we can sort of guess at the motives. Okay, so it's something high tech, right? We can say that with certainty at this point in time. On the ground reports say that the most anomalous of the drones, and these are the ones we care about, Right? I don't care about the ones that are definitely drones pursuing the other weird ones. I don't care about the helicopters or the satellites or the airplanes. We know they're there. It's the weird ones that people are interested in. And the weird ones are consistently being reported as not giving off any sound or conditionally giving off sound, or having FAA compliant lighting, but when approached, give the viewer, that is the person on the ground with the cell phone or just walking down the street, a deep unsettling feeling. Their behavior supposedly is they're moving in like a grid search pattern, but also just kind of flying around. They appear between, like 6 p.m. and midnight each evening, and there are consistent reports that they are coming in off of the ocean. Okay, so that's what they're doing. So let's write out some of that. So coming from ocean, silent, grid pattern / ambiguous. Where are they coming? Where are they going? No one knows where they're coming from. Now, the official line from the feds are that they don't know where they're coming from and they don't know where they're going. You can see that with John Kirby's interviews on Fox News, where he admits to that. Again, they had to have their arms twisted a number of times before admitting to that. Do we believe it? Well, they've been caught in a lie a couple different times already, and they seem to think we're stupid and not capable of doing this kind of research. So let's just downplay whatever the feds have to say at this point in time. On the ground, from local authorities, these are people who live in New Jersey or New York or the surrounding states, police officers, even their elected representatives are going out and recorded things. What I just mentioned is more or less what they're saying. These things are just flying in out of nowhere, or they disappear suddenly or appear suddenly, or they are seen coming in off of the ocean. And they are completely silent. The weird ones, completely silent, but not always. And that's it. That appears to be all that we know that they're doing. So now that we know that, let's go back over here to what is it? Okay. Let's try to answer whose military drones, right? Because we're going to set aside its question mark for now. Who do you think it is? All right, let's round out the list. It's the US. All right. We've got, it's Iran. We're just going to run with it being military drones for now. It's Russia. Or it's China. I don't think anyone seriously thinks that it's anybody else. So let's take a look at this. All right, let's start with Iran. There was initial speculation from, I think, one senator that these could be Iranian drones coming in off of a warship. Reporting later showed, supposedly, using satellite footage, that the Iranian warships, which would have contained these drones, were very far away. Now, maybe they came in off of, I think this person later amended. Again, they provided no substantiation for those claims. They just said it. And they sort of walked it back later, if I recall, saying, well, you got to get creative. Maybe they're coming in off of container ships or something like that. Okay, maybe. But do we really think that the United States would not know which vessels it could be coming from, or that they cannot track these things? Again, the biggest ones are as large as, I think, 6 to 8 feet. You think we can't track that? We can definitely track that. I promise you that. We have that capacity. So it doesn't make sense. I don't think that Iran has this capability anyway. Again, if we don't know where they're going or where they're coming from, and they're silent, that's weird. I don't think so. That seems highly unlikely to me. Let's take a look at Russia. Could Russia be doing it? Do they have the technology? Probably not. You know where they would be using these kinds of things if they had them, because they're incredibly capable at avoiding detection. There are constant reports of chasing these things with helicopters, and the moment they get close or put lights on them, they go dark, as in they go missing. They're completely untraceable, and they're just gone. That's pretty high tech. It seems pretty far-fetched that Russia would have them, and that it would not be using them in its current conflict. It seems increasingly unlikely. I don't think that they have the tech in the first place. I also think that all of Putin's signals to the rest of the world have been loud, boisterous. I don't think it's part of their strategy to do something so subtle and bizarre. This has been happening for weeks now without making any sort of statement or any sort of claims or any sort of overt action. It doesn't really fit their modus operandi. This isn't how Russia behaves. And the incentives don't make sense anyway. If they did have this level of high tech, and this is the same thing we're going to say with China, why would they reveal it this way? Why would they come in, lights on? Oh yeah, so that's the other thing, is the lights are on, which is odd. It makes no sense. If you had this level of technology, why would you just waste it, air quotes, by just flying it around over people's houses? There's nothing kinetic, so we're going to start investigating what these things could be doing. Perhaps they are. Let's look at a couple options. Looking for something. They could be spying, whatever that means. What else could it be? We'll get to another one in a second here. So if this is like spy technology, you wouldn't come in with your lights on. You wouldn't do this so loud. You certainly wouldn't just start flying over air bases and just kind of park it there. That doesn't make any sense, right? So you could say it's a show of force, right? I don't think any of these make sense. And since none of those make sense, I don't think that if China had this technology that they would be blowing it in such a bizarre way. Okay? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Plus, they would be risking World War III. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, what about it's the United States? If it was the United States, that would mean that it's a psychological operation, right? Now, you could say it's some sort of internal coup or something like that, but that doesn't make sense. Would you just be flying stuff around over people's houses if you wanted to do that sort of internal show of force? I don't think so. You would do something much scarier. Same for the PSYOP, right? What could you possibly want to do a PSYOP for? You might want to increase military funding or anti-drone technology funding. Okay, if you're trying to do that, is this the most efficient way to do it? No. And in fact, they're doing it in such a way that makes the federal government, the very body that would be trying to profit from this, look impotent. Right? They look like complete fools, and they are completely unable to do anything about it at all. That's a terrible PSYOP. What you would want to do is to make something look like a new unknown threat, big, loud, scary. It would probably be kinetic. It would probably involve some sort of false flag where somebody's getting hurt. It wouldn't be this ambiguous. It wouldn't be this drawn out. It wouldn't be this mysterious or unattributable. It's not threatening enough. Right? It's a terrible PSYOP if your goal is in order to increase military might or funding or public support for it. That doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't follow. But it could be a different kind of psychological operation. So what would you gain? So if you look at all of this, it looks to me like these things want to be seen. Why else would you have your lights on? Why else would you be acting this way? You want to be seen. So we're going to infer these things. Like, there could be no other reason to have your lights on, right? Again, looking for something makes no sense. You're doing it during specific hours. You have these sort of weird erratic search patterns. And you'd be maybe flying a grid pattern because you want to be seen by a large number of people. It's almost photogenic, right? That seems, the purpose seems to be talked about, to want to be seen. I can think of no other reason for this behavior. It makes no sense. They're not actually doing anything. They don't land. They just appear, fly around, act weird, and then go away. So to me, that says this wants to be seen, right? That's the purpose of this whole thing. What else could it be? It's a spectacle of some kind. Okay, well, why would you want to be seen? What about these other things? Being silent, that's pretty weird. Why would you want to be silent? Perhaps because it is weird, right? It wants to be seen, and then we have something that's like, seems a little off, right? These are not being able to be intercepted or taken down by traditional means. What does that demonstrate? Well, that seems to demonstrate power, right? This is a sort of like a soft show of power. You can't stop me, right? This is sort of a weird, this is like a terrorist attack without the attack. It's just the terror, right? It's just an imposition. Like it does seem a bit like a show of force, but it's not forceful. It's not hurting anyone, right? So we can put that over here under, are they dangerous? Well, I would say there's capacity, but not intent, right? If these things wanted to start dropping grenades on people, they would have. I don't think they're going to. If you're just drawing a line from, what they're doing, at no point do I think there will be kinetic or any sort of attack. That doesn't seem to be the reason. It just seems to want to be seen. It seems a little off, right? If you have this level of technology, especially if you start buying the claims of not being able to track it, then you know how to play a sound out of a speaker. So why be silent? Except you want to seem a little bit off, right? I think that there can only be, here's another motive that makes sense, is to make the feds look bad, because that is absolutely happening. They are digging in their heels quite a lot. And if you look at here, we're going to go to some other footage. Here is a senator, Senator Richard Blumenthal. They had a classified briefing where they are telling Congress about what's going on. Okay, so this is a briefing by the FBI, CIA, and DHS to Congress. I think it's the Intelligence Committee. I'm not sure, whoever. Powerful people wanted answers from the people who have all the equipment, and this is what this person had to say right after that briefing.
Only minimal information, which leads me to believe that our federal government has no idea, no clue, no reliable information about these drones.
Okay. So, not good. By the way, there are a number of other senators who corroborate that after that meeting and before, that they're telling us they don't know, and I believe them. That is unusual. And they're telling us quite clearly, look the other way. It's fine. It's not what you think it is. It's fine. Trust me, bro. Right? These are the messages over and over again. And you can look through the sources that I've linked that show this sort of flip-flopping attempt to hand wave and please stop paying attention. And then, of course, we have the final claim, which has also been floated a couple times, but I haven't seen people lean into this one, I think because they know it would backfire, is the claim of mass hysteria. I don't even know what that means. Like, this is not that mass hysteria is not possible, but mass hysteria is something that I would think is likely when there's a single source. Like one video, you could imagine, a video of somebody being beaten up by police officers or something. And, whether the video was real or not, people could freak out. And it turns out the video wasn't real or didn't show what you thought it did. Mass hysteria is definitely a problem when it's mostly emotions and there are a few sources or all the sources are second or third hand. In this case, we have a lot of people consistently reporting these things and reporting them in a way that does not align with their incentives. These elected officials, these other people who are standing up to the federal government representatives, are saying consistently over and over again, we are getting so many reports from our constituents. So we would expect them to know more and not less. And they are not really incentivized to look bad or to gainsay the federal government. It doesn't really profit them in any way to put force behind what looks like a conspiracy theory, unless it is really being reported over and over again. And this has happened a number of times. The actual mayors and House reps or senators are going out with their police, state and local police, and recording these things, experiencing them firsthand and saying, yeah, this is real. It's really weird. So that doesn't have the profile of mass hysteria to me. That doesn't make sense. So we're left with, could it be the USA? Possible in terms of having the capacity for the technology. It would be next level tech. But if anyone had it, it would be us, possibly China, not Iran or Russia. But the motives don't make any sense unless it's the USA trying to make the USA look bad. And there are cleaner ways of doing that. And I do think that when the United States military wants to stage a PSYOP, they do a good job of it. So it doesn't make sense to me. So who's left? Well, you have non-state actors. So it would have to be a non-state actor that is conducting a psychological operation. Nothing else makes sense. We've pretty much crossed off everything on my list. So let me look at all my other stuff here. Having seen the logic where I stepped through all these things, we didn't even review any footage, which I assume that you have the ability to do. We didn't even get into why are they not being shot down. That is, let's just shorthand that as saying this is more of the feds just making themselves look bad. Their claims are they have no authority. It would be too dangerous because they might fall on somebody. There are claims not made from representatives, but made by other people that they were just afraid to start World War III. Well, we've already talked about how this behavior doesn't make sense as if it were coming from another state actor. So I don't think that's the case. There's more evidence against that claim as well, because this is not consistent with other incursions from Russian or Chinese or anybody else. They're actually very transparent about those things. When they shoot them down or when they see these things, they're reported pretty directly to the public. So this doesn't fit. It does fit the other sightings that are seen over other military bases over the past year or two. Where they just sort of put their fingers in the air and tell anyone who sees any of these things to don't pay attention to this. Okay, and then the sort of final argument against all of this is the argument to absurdity. That basically we shouldn't even be looking into this because it's completely absurd and it's a conspiracy theory and it's nonsense. Well, too bad, because I can look into whatever I want to, and I am going to look into it. And this is what I've come up with. I think the final sort of common take that we haven't gone over is they're looking for something. Oh, what could they be looking for that's really this important? It would have to be a weapon of mass destruction of some kind. Biological doesn't make sense. That's not how you would look for a biological thing from the air. Okay, is it chemical? Again, probably not likely that you would look for a chemical weapon in this way. And chemical weapons are not very secretive. So it could be nuclear. So the lost my nukes hypothesis, I think, has no grounds. So there is reporting from Ryan Graves, if you don't already know who he is, former fighter pilot, supposedly checking in with the response teams that would be responsible for tracking down and recovering weapons of mass destruction in the United States. And they are not aware of anything that would be happening, so they're not even prepped. So you can find his tweets and interviews corroborating that. Also, a number of people have said that this is just not how we would search for something. I mean, think about this from common sense. Assume that there was, a suitcase bomb or some other nuclear weapon that maybe got misplaced or something, or the transport was interrupted or something, right? And they're looking for it. Is this how you would look for it if you really wanted to find it? By flying drones with their lights on, not notifying any local authorities or the local military bases during specific hours at night in a highly visible way, and just sort of buzzing people's houses and just generally acting weird, right? You don't think that this information would have made it back to the powers that be at some point? Of course not. This is not how you would look for it. You would also be using alternative search methods, because this is important to find and find quickly. So this is not a covert way to find things, if that was your goal. This is the opposite of covert. Obviously, we're talking about it. So it's not covert, so you're not trying to be secretive. Then in that case, why are you not searching at all hours of the day with various methods? It doesn't make sense. And why have you not notified anybody? It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit at all. This is not how you would do that. Beyond that, so do we really even need to spend time on the Department of Defense, the military, the FBI, all of these people having absolutely no authority to shoot any of these things down or take them down anywhere, despite the fact that some of them are seen over the ocean? I mean, this is ridiculous. Yeah, it might fall on somebody's head in the ocean. What if they're swimming? Like, obviously, this is... I mean, how many times do you have to be lied to your face to not recognize a lie? Okay, I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time on that. So what does this leave? In a sense, it could be military / custom drones, but made by whom? It's a highly sophisticated actor. All of the usual players have been ruled out. You're left with something that is, by definition, a rogue actor, right? A highly sophisticated, well-resourced rogue actor with advanced technology that they're willing to blow on a strange psychological operation. That there's really nothing left. Or it's something else. Okay, so who is this? Like, it would have to be somebody who has the motivation to make the federal government look bad, or to just have some other purpose for wanting people to look up at the sky and see that things are strange and slightly not explainable. Are they dangerous? Probably not. At least not immediately. The capacity is there, though. That just sort of comes with the territory. So I would say probably not. And the fact that the United States are not shooting it down, it's another question. They're even going as far as to making themselves look very, very foolish. They have the authority to shoot down a drone over a naval base that houses nuclear weapons, right? We can all agree that we don't need to do a lot of research on that. That authority exists. But why didn't they? Why haven't they? Why don't they? Why did drones, we got to start air quoting now, fly over Langley and for a week or more without being shot down? Either because... So why didn't they shoot them down? We're not going to create another question for this, but it's either they can't or they won't. So let's look at they won't. Why would they not? Well, we've already covered the World War III angle. It doesn't make sense. This is not another state actor. Okay, so is there another reason that they wouldn't? Because it's their own tech. Okay. We've already covered that as well. It doesn't make any sense. This is not something that a United States, this isn't by accident, right? So this has been going on long enough, in your face enough, it's not by accident. This is intentional. So if it's intentional, even if this was a rogue actor within the United States, they would have been shut down by now, right? You have to be a real rogue to the point where we can't even really say this is the United States anymore. So it could be a rogue actor. Beyond that, we are left grasping at straws. Or there's an unconventional explanation. And so let's just set this aside for now. I'm not saying that it's not military drones and a rogue actor. But this list would be very short of who it could be, who would have the willingness and incentive to do this in exactly this way. All right, you're blowing a lot of resources and advanced tech that you could be profiting from or using in other ways that we don't see being used in other ways, right? So this doesn't track as being a human. Human beings use this sort of advanced technology to their own benefit. We would be using it in other places. There would be reports of it in other places. So that's what we would be looking for. Where can we see reports of other things that seem a little off, that want to be seen, that the feds, makes them look bad, or that they don't want you to look at, or that they downplay. And they seem to have high capacity, but not intent to endanger, often have lights on. We don't know where they're coming from. We don't know where they're going, or they're reported as coming from the ocean. They seem to go wherever they want, and they're not being shot down inexplicably at times. We don't really know what they're doing, but it does seem to be like a psychological operation. There is one other thing. And here, there's the translation. It's the only thing left, really, by process of elimination. I mean, check my math here. What else? What else could it possibly be? It's UFOs, right? It's UAPs. It makes no sense. Now, without making any claims as to what UFOs or UAPs are, but they are the same thing. They are displaying those exact same patterns and have been for a long time. It's what fits. And people are beginning to use this terminology. The language has shifted from airplanes to drones to objects to now being called UAPs or UFOs. And you can see this being brought up by the press and others during briefings, like Chuck Schumer's briefing, where he is advocating for a different kind of tracking technology, which is 3D instead of looking in a line, as if seeing all around you will help you see something that is giving off no heat signature. It's somebody asks whether it's UAPs, and he says that it's more or less that. Don't talk about that. We don't know that it is. When all this really means is it's unidentified, but it does give us something to compare it to. This is UAPs, this is UFOs. That's what the interesting objects flying over New Jersey are. That is my conclusion. This is how I got there. You can go look at whatever footage you want. Yes, many of those things can be individually debunked as lens flares, things that are out of focus, or, oh no, that's a different kind of drone, or oh, that's an airplane. Yes, but proving some of these things false does not prove the truly anomalous things wrong. And we can be very sure that something strange is happening. And nothing else fits the model, in my opinion. This is what they are, the interesting ones. And we have to resist the urge that just because we don't like something, or that it seems ridiculous. The Sherlock Holmes approach is, when you've ruled out everything, I'll butcher the quote, but you get the idea. We've ruled out everything that is possible. You have to start to consider the impossible. And that's where we are. And you can see people at wit's end. Now when, various Congress people are getting the question, especially in the Northeast, because they have to care about this and they're experiencing this. Is this UAPs? This is aliens? And they look at the camera and say, something along the lines of anything's on the table, or who knows? Because all we're getting from the government is a big blank. Question mark. Why would they fight so hard to maintain obvious lies, or to simply say we don't know, when they really should know if it was conventional? And the answer is, it's because it's something impossible. Something that they cannot address directly. Not yet. The beautiful part about this hypothesis is that it will play out. We've seen this activity is escalating. I think that this is, while it's difficult to hear, and this is an entire thread worth unraveling another time, I think that it is some form of non-human intelligence, or I don't know, you could say a breakaway civilization with advanced technology. That doesn't track for me. That seems even crazier than just saying, yeah, okay, it's a really big universe. Something probably found us. What's so crazy about that? We've been sending out signals for a long time. So they finally showed up. Like, why is this surprising? And why would you do it this way? Again, a thread worth unraveling all on its own. Well, you might want to slowly pull the covers off of people who believe this is dumb, or that this is impossible, or that this is scary. And you might want to do it very slowly by looking a lot like conventional things, or just looking like something that gets your attention, isn't quite behaving like what you thought it should behave like, and is counter to the existing narrative that there's nothing to see here. Right? It fits. That's what I would do. And to anyone who says that, oh, why not just land on the White House lawn? Well, that is horrifying and a pretty gross violation. Far better, and that doesn't mean that that won't happen. Maybe it will. I don't know. We're just using the evidence and trying to draw conclusions from it without bias, or as little bias as possible, and seeing where that leads us. Well, why would you not just land on the White House lawn immediately? Because that's a huge shock. And far better if you can just get these people's own government, who, if you're paying attention to any of the hearings over the past few years, very clearly knows a lot more than they're talking about. It'd be way easier if we could just get them to disclose a lot of this information to us. This is just forcing the hand, right? Hey, we know you know, and you're not saying anything about it. You keep saying these are airplanes or drones. We're going to make it obvious that they're not airplanes or drones. Slowly but surely turn the screw, right? Just tighten the pressure over and over and over again until anyone with eyeballs and a brain can say, that doesn't track. This doesn't look like airplanes. This doesn't look like drones. The behavior doesn't make sense. It doesn't look like China. It doesn't look like Russia. It doesn't look like Iran. It doesn't look like anyone. So what is it? If it's not anyone, I'm making the claim that the intention to not look like anyone was done on purpose. And all of this is to force the hand of the people who do know things to say what they know and come clean, or we'll do it for you. I don't think that this message is really for us. I think it's for the people who have secrets and aren't sharing them. But I think it is also for us, because ultimately you're going to get your on the White House lawn moment. But this is a little more for the people, right? A little more democratic. They're going to fly over your houses. They're coming straight to you. You don't have to go to the White House. Why should the president get to meet the aliens first, right? By the way, we don't know they're aliens. I'm not even going to put those labels on there. I don't know anything. I have a lot of suspicions, and I have a lot more threads to unravel. And if you would like to see another video, another episode, let me know. What do you think? What did I miss? You followed my logic. I'm going to be linking all of my sources in the actual episode, so you can take a look at that. What did I miss? Any motivations? Any possible identities? Any behaviors? I think I am quite confident in saying that the objects flying around over New Jersey, the interesting ones, are UAPs, or UFOs. Now, I'm not saying what those things are. I make no claims to those yet. I hinted at my suspicions, but without putting even a label beyond that, to be technically accurate, they fit all of the qualifications and behaviors, and nothing else does. So I can say quite definitively, we got to stop calling them drones, because that's not what they are. They are UFOs or UAPs. Now, what are those? That is a question I really hope we get the answer to, and we're going to unravel that next time. I'm Steven. Thanks for watching and listening.